the front office with Brad Treliving and company. We'll get to those results next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Feel good about the Bills, feel good about Josh Allen. Go place a Super Bowl and an MVP wager on both of those guys on August 26th. Visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your futures bets now because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morisuti with you as always. You can find the podcast free and available wherever you get your podcasts and also up on YouTube if you're looking for the video version of the pod. So last week we had an episode where we went through we did the survey, the Athletics Confidence Survey, when it comes to your favorite team's front office, and we obviously did it for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We were quite confident with the front office and what they've done over the last few years since Brad Treliving has taken over. The rest of the fan base, not as confident. Quite surprised that they rank 24th in the NHL based off the survey results. Does that shock you, Dave? Now, they did move up. They were 30th last year. So they did move up to 24th, but I don't know. I feel like the front office deserves a little bit more respect than that.
Yes, I do believe it does, especially a little bit more from the fan base in certain areas, but man, the public, just a bunch of haters. It was actually last year, the fan base was less confident in this team in the front office than the public was.
Yeah,
that's literally, it flipped.
Yeah,
I think it was 47% last year, and then it was 29% for the fan base last year. Now it's 40% for the fan base and 20% from the public.
Do you want to pull up the report card, the results, I suppose?
Yeah, I always pay report card time, so this is like just typical.
Yeah. So here it is basically. So the Toronto Maple Leafs were given a C grade, and that's with a combination of what the public and the fan base both thought. So roster building, the public gave them a C+. The fan base gave the Maple Leafs a C, which is asinine to me. Like I don't understand. Like that, a C for the roster. How much of this do you think is Mitch Marner related? The fact that they let Mitch Marner walk, because
a good amount.
It has to be, right? Yeah. It's got to be.
It just goes to show, just like as much as Leafs fans were comfortable with, well, they didn't. I'm not sure they all were singing praises of Mitch Marner being gone, but there are definitely people, like everyone that asked me, like I was on Locked On NHL does their off-season kind of look for the game night actually.
Yep.
So whether or not the Leafs are in a better position without Mitch Marner, and that dominated pretty much the episode I did, and so it goes to show that everyone around the league is pretty much saying it's a disaster that the Leafs don't have Mitch Marner anymore. Well, if you ask the fan base, there are some who are just like, good riddance, fait complete, adios, arrivederci, we'll see you in the next life, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a polarizing topic. It's definitely a polarizing topic here in the city of Toronto. Cap management, the public gave them a C-. The fan base a C+, which ranks 23rd.
They have cap space for the first time in forever.
I know. I'm really curious how much of that, like, how do you only get a C? I just don't understand how you get a C-. Like, the public gives them a C-. They don't have many albatross contracts anymore. Who's an albatross contract?
Some people, I'm thinking of the William Nylander one. I know some people feel that's an overpay. But, like, they don't have contracts where it's like, they don't have like, I always say, like the Darnell Nurse type of contract.
Yeah.
Where he's not a $9 million defenseman, and they can't even get rid of the contract if they tried. The Leafs don't really have that type of contract. They actually got value. I looked at we talked about this, the Matthew Nyes deal, the John Tavares deal, the Chris Tanev deal.
Did you see what Frank Nazar just signed for in Chicago?
Frank Nazar got more money in his second deal than Kirill Kaprizov did.
Frank Nazar, what is he? He signed for what, like 6.59, I believe, right?
6.5, so a share, just a little under 6.6, like pretty much 6.6.
Pretty much 6.6 million for 7 years. Matthew Nyes signed at 7.75. Like, we're looking at $1 million difference basically between Matthew Nyes and Frank Nazar. You're gonna sit here and say that the Leafs, their cap management is a problem? Like, they got Nyes at a pretty good ticket. They got Tavares at a pretty good ticket. They somehow were able to get, Austin Matthews at a pretty good ticket, all things considered. There's a couple other guys that I think are in terms of cap management, the way that they were able to get Scott Lawton at a 50% cap hit because of the way that they had 50% of that retained. You could say the same thing. There was some salary retention in the Brandon Carlo trade. Yep. Like, realistically, like Jake McCabe, that contract looks fantastic right now. The Jake McCabe deal. Outside of like Morgan Riley and I guess David Camp and Yali Yarncroc, I can't really think of another one that's an albatross. Max Domi could probably say is paid a little bit too much, but not to the point where I'm giving them such a bad grade in terms of cap management. They finally are managing it properly, I would say. Yeah. But to each their own. So we'll continue to take a peek at this. Draft and develop. Fan base gave him a D+, which isn't it. I can understand it. Like, Nyes and Easton Cowan are the two standouts, and then it really there's not anything.
I can understand that, but it's like also they haven't had many draft picks.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Very true. But yeah, like it's tough to grade what they've done the last couple of years because we really haven't seen even this year. Like, it's going to take time for what they've done now to really take shape. So I'm hoping that will be one of the areas that they improve on.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you look at the draft and development. How many Leaf fans are looking back on the last 5-10 years, like including the Dubas era as part of their evaluation, because those guys haven't come through. They weren't drafted and developed properly. But when you look at Easton Cowan was a tree living pick, right? Danford was a tree living pick. You know what I mean? Like they're at a point where they need to wait to see how these guys draft and develop. They're not. He hasn't been around long enough to really know how this group does drafting and developing. And they brought in a brand new head scout too, right? So a D+, all right, I could take it, I suppose.